Boston College football finishes off their recruiting barbecue on Thursday. 2 commitments, and this has been nothing but a smashing success.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone. This is Locked On Boston College, your team every day. I'm your host, AJ Black. Thank you all for listening. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more as playoffs wind down. The sports stop sporting like we want them to, but this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a booster bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com to get yourself started. On today's show, the barbecue at Boston College, hanging out on the Heights, is over. And the results are in. We are now at 2 commitments. We're going to talk about the first commitment, who it is, why it's important, and what this means to the program. I'm going to look at what could be next in the class of 2026, and I'm going to also give you 3 names I would love to see Bill O'Brien land in this upcoming class. So let's kick this off. On yesterday's show, if you have not checked it out, go back on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. We talked about Dean Ruxnitis, a offensive lineman from Williston, Northampton, who committed on Thursday. But shortly after that, there was a second commitment. I teased it with my on Twitter at AJ Black 247 with my Omar from the Wire Jeff. You guys know that if you listen enough, that means that there's a commitment in. So there was 2. The second one I didn't think was much of a surprise, but if you're not key to some of the recruiting stuff, you wouldn't know who this kid is. And it was a commitment from, again, Catholic Memorial defensive lineman, class of 2026, Mac Fitzgerald. Mac Fitzgerald came to Catholic Memorial from Xaverian Brothers, where he transferred last year. And then he was at Bergen Catholic, in New Jersey before that. Now, why did he move up to Massachusetts? His dad, Craig Fitzgerald, is the strength and conditioning coach. If you guys remember from the offseason, one of the biggest hires that Bill O'Brien made was the hire of Craig Fitzgerald, who had just been hired by Florida, but he said peace out and went with his buddy Bill O'Brien to Boston. Fitzgerald, the dad, has been with O'Brien through a lot of different schools. I believe he was at Penn State. He was at Houston. He's been around with him, and O'Brien trusts him pretty significantly. So he comes up to Massachusetts. He brings his family with him, right? So that's why they went from Bergen Catholic. Mac enrolled at Xaverian, and then he transfers over to Catholic Memorial. When I heard Catholic Memorial, son of a staff member, I was like, oh man, this kid is going to definitely be a Boston College Eagle before all things end. And he started interacting with like all my social media stuff. So I was like, okay, this kid is totally interested in BC. And he gets to the barbecue, he commits. This is the first defensive line commitment for the class of 2026. And it's a good one. Obviously, if a kid has played at Bergen Catholic, one of the best schools in New Jersey, and Catholic Memorial, one of the best schools in Massachusetts, you're getting some good football playing right here. He doesn't have any rankings and he doesn't have any new offers. But again, he's next year's class. A lot of times you want to get out ahead of that. And sometimes you get kids that don't have offers yet because they're not the blue chippers. A lot of times the kids that are like the uber awesome recruits are the only ones at this point that have like humongous offer lists. Fitzgerald, he was on campus obviously his dad's been here. So he's been on campus a lot. He knows the program well. He was at the barbecue and he committed on the spot. So he's got good size. This kid is 6'5", 250 pounds as a junior. So he's going to be an edge rusher. He's not going to be I think he's going to be an edge rusher. Good size for a pass rusher. No more of this. Again, you're getting away from, not to knock on Donovan Azaraku and Neto Ekpala, but remember that Jeff Hafley, when he went for edge rushers, he went for guys that were like hybrid offensive linebackers. Outside linebackers and edge rushers that were like 6'1", 6 feet. Smaller guys, but they were faster, right? It looks like Tim Lewis and Bill O'Brien, based off of kids like this and Israel Oladapopu, who committed for the class of 2025. I think he's like 6'3", 6'4" too. They're getting bigger kids again, and I like that. I think BC needs to get back to their roots of what they've done in the past that make them successful. Getting bigger edge rushers should not matter given the new style of offenses that are out there. They're big, they're powerful, they can stop guys. That's the story right there. So this is the fourth commitment for the class of 2026. You now have two kids from Catholic Memorial, Marcelino Antunes, and you have Mac Fitzgerald. You have a kid from Williston, Northampton in Western Mass out by Springfield in Dean Rusnitis. And you have your quarterback. So 3 local kids all committed to Bill O'Brien. And I think that is what he is trying to get done. Is he's talked about this. He talked about it at the ACC kickoff. He wants the base of his players, his recruiting class, to be from the state of Massachusetts in that 400-mile radius, he said. So he's already doing that. And again, this goes to that CM to BC pipeline. You have now a bunch of players on your roster or committed to come to you that are going to be from that program. So you have Fitzgerald, you have Marcelino Antunes. For the class of 2025, you have Makai Dodd, a running back. You have Owen McGowan, Jaden Skeet, Datrell Jones, Max Tucker. Who knows about Jackson Tucker in the class of 2027? I believe he's at CM too. That's Max's brother. This is the pipeline school right now to Boston College. When you have a roster of 85 kids in your class, you have 8 kids from Catholic Memorial. That's a big number. And for every student that you lose or student athlete that you lose from Belmont Hills or some of those ISL schools that just aren't sending BC kids, you have the Xaverian brothers, you have Catholic Memorial, St. Sebastian's, BC High, Lawrence Academy that are going to send students to BC. And these pipeline schools are critical to Boston College. You're not going to get every kid in the state, but when you have schools that you can rely on, like Catholic Memorial, and I know they've lost kids, Gerby Lambert and Boubacar Traore, it's going to happen. But you're getting a good chunk of really solid players from those schools, and that is a key here. Now, in our second segment, what's next? There were over 60 recruits on campus. Are there potential more commitments? I'll look at a tweet from one of the BC staffers, and I'll look at maybe some names that we should be looking at as potential future commitments for the Boston College Eagles. I love sports. I love them so much, I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer games, and the sports aren't sportsing like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a booster bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Are you guys still listening to Fox Sports and ESPN? What are you doing to yourself? You must be driving yourself crazy. Do you have to turn the volume down with all that shouting? Does it give you a headache like me? Make the switch to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day. Locked On Boston College, AJ Black. And so we're talking about this recruiting barbecue, which was, in my opinion, a smashing success for this program. They got 2 commitments already and got BC in front of coaches and players that hopefully are all local, that are going to improve the recruiting relationships that the staff has with the high school staff, showing them what Bill O'Brien is all about, why Boston College should be the destination in the New England area, and connecting with the recruits themselves. And all of the results so far have been nothing but positive. You've seen kids all putting stuff on social media, which catches the eyes of other recruits. Remember, this is a social media age here. High school kids love that kind of stuff. So to see it on Instagram, seeing it on TikTok, seeing it on Twitter, it's all important stuff. And I imagine that the connections that the staff made with the high school coaches that were there to do this were all positive as well. People are asking, like, what do they do there? They get to meet the staff. It looked like they did a scavenger hunt on campus, which seemed really kind of fun. And I think they probably strategically made some groups based on schools that they go to and committed kids. Griffin Collins was there, and he probably was with a bunch of kids that weren't committed. I saw Micah Amity out there with Linnea Hall, who we'll talk about in a little bit. That's a big one that you want to watch for. I think this is a great opportunity for the kids that are committed to also sell the school too, because you can hear it from the coaches, but to hear it from other kids as well, it can be pretty impactful. Now, let's look at what else comes from this, because if you saw on Twitter, Jonathan DiBiaso, the quarterback coach for BC, he put on Twitter that he had something that said, I'm pulling it up right now, that said, that's two, and there's more on the way. Shh. From here on out, the best in Boston will be staying in Boston. Commit to Bill O'Brien, earn it. So the shush, and he said there's more on the way. Now, is that him teasing that there's already committed kids that are locked in? I've checked in with sources. That's not the case right now. However, there probably are going to be some, from what I've heard, there's other kids that are close to committing. And there's kids that had great times that you should be keeping an eye on. And so who are those kids that I feel might be worth watching moving forward? The first is Phillips Exeter Academy offensive lineman Merrick Jin. He's from New Hampshire. It's been since Hunter Long, since BC landed a commitment from New Hampshire. They were after one last year, but I believe he went to Oregon State. But Merrick Jin is a 6'5", 285-pound offensive lineman, rated 85 and an 89 on the 247 composite. He has offers from UVA, Duke, and BC. So he's got some decent offers already. I'm guessing if those schools are already offering, he's going to get more offers. But BC has been on him since day one. And this would be a really good get for them. Obviously, he's a localish, an offensive lineman, this is crazy. Like, this could be the third potential offensive lineman that Boston College lands in the class of 2026. After all of that worry about the class of 2025 and not getting the guys you want, you might fill up with your class of 2026 offensive lineman before you even get to official visit season next year. Like, you might get to official visit season next June and have 4 or 5 offensive linemen, all local kids, committed to your program. What a luxury that would be. So Merrick Jin is someone I'd watch for. The second guy is, and I'm just like Dean Worksnitis, I'm going to probably butcher this poor kid's name, Brady Beckenhuis from Arlington, Mass. Brady is another offensive lineman, I'm telling you, offensive tackle from Arlington, who has an offer list that's Maryland, Rutgers, and BC. Now, he is checking out Maryland and Rutgers this weekend. I heard that his visit to Boston College went really well. He's 6'6", 295, so he'd be a tackle. Merrick Jin would be a guard. Could we get to the end of this month with 4 offensive linemen committed to BC? That is crazy. So I know he's making the trips this weekend. I also believe that he could be the next guy we hear about. I feel like he has a great relationship with the staff. He really enjoys it. Again, with the local kids, this is another kid that feels like a priority to BC, and the kids buy into that. So this could be the second name that you could be watching for. Both local kids, both offensive linemen. Again, you could be at 4 commitments for all this could be the reclamation of the Matt Applebaum recruiting project, right? After years of not getting the guys that you want, could this class be just loaded with offensive? Like, could they go with like 6 or 7? I haven't asked them about their haul yet of what they're looking for on the offensive line. But could Boston College, could Matt Applebaum just be like, giving them the bird and being like, I'm going to take as many guys as I can get and add some like national guys too. This is going to be an interest. This class already, and we're just in July of 2024, is already fascinating to me. Again, we're getting back to Bill O'Brien now has his feet wet at Boston College. He's got his staff in place, and this class of the class of 2026 is going to be his chance to go through a full cycle of doing all the typical recruiting tools that every coach has in their bucket. Remember, the class of 2025, they were starting 30 yards behind everybody else and had to sprint to get those guys. This is a different story. They have the time now to build relationships and show them why Boston College is the place to go. And that is why we're seeing success very quickly from BC and their coaching staff. Now, in our final segment, I want to talk about 3 names I'd love to see commit from the class of 2026. These are kids that were not all of them were on campus, and I'll explain why one of them wasn't. And I'll explain why I'd love to see all 3 of them at Boston College. We'll get into that in just a moment. eBay Motors, with passion, drive, and patience, the formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance with superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Locked On Boston College, AJ Black. And so we're talking about the 2 commitments, but when we're done with this episode, let me tell you about Locked On ACC. With a big week at the ACC kickoff, Alex Dono of the Locked On Canes was there. He is joined by Kenton Gibbs. They do Locked On ACC. Get that on YouTube, wherever you get your podcast. It's even more great college football stuff, and we're all getting excited as we get ready for the season. Now, class of 2026, we're looking to the future again. There were some big names that were on campus. One name that wasn't there, I want to tell you right now, was Jordan Thomas, who I talked about yesterday. I was told he was going to be on campus, but he's actually at the University of Texas. That happens when you're going for big guys. It just happens. But there were some other big names, and I would love to see these 3 names commit. And they could be on different places on BC's board. Just from a recruiting perspective, I think they would be great gets. I love to see these 3. I think would be just the icing on the cake of what could become a really special class of 2026. The first name I want to get to is from the Hun School in New Jersey. We talked about him a little bit yesterday, but Chase Enlow. He's been on campus now twice. He's rated an 88 on 247. He's got a good, solid offer list. He's been around all over the place, but he seems really connected to Boston College. And he's one of the higher rated recruits in the state of New Jersey. And it's clear that he's interested. He said on a tweet on Thursday evening that he wants to be back at Boston College soon in the fall. He seems like a guy that you could get to commit at some point. I would imagine he's going to, because of his offer list, he's not going to be a fast commitment. He's not going to be a guy that you probably will be able to, unless things are just that great. And you never know. Sometimes there's things behind the scenes I don't know about. He might be a guy that's like official visit season next year where he commits. But, a borderline 4-star, good New Jersey kid, again, would be a perfect fit for Boston College. I would love to see him at BC. And they don't have any running backs yet, so that would be a good one. The next one is a guy who's my favorite name in this entire class, and a guy that just has to be at BC from a local perspective and from a recruiting perspective. And that's Laniel Hall. He goes by the nickname U-Haul, which I love. I don't know, for an offensive lineman to be called U-Haul as a nickname, it's just perfect. He's huge. And Micah Amity is pushing hard to get this kid here. He was with Amity yesterday. Micah Amity is a commitment from Xaverian Brothers in Massachusetts, who's from class of 2025, and he was with him. This is a kid that's going to take a while. I've already talked to staff. This is not a kid that you're going to expect to commit anytime soon. He's got big offers. I believe Tennessee offered him. I believe Wisconsin. There's some big offers for this kid. He's going to be a 4-star, I believe. And this probably, I'm not sure yet, but I'm guessing probably will be either the number 1 or number 2 recruit in the state of Massachusetts for the class of 2026. He's been on campus a bunch of times, though. Bill O'Brien's doing his work here. This is a guy that you'd love to see and would be a turnaround from all the guys from Hardy Watts to Gerby Lambert to Boubacar Traore that you haven't been able to keep these higher rated recruits in state. This is a chance now for O'Brien to flip that script. And can he do that? That will be what we're watching here. And again, I go back to how big is this offensive line class going to be? Because U-Haul's is an offensive lineman. Could they go 5 or 6? I could totally see it. And this could be another one, especially if they already get if Merrick Jen and Brady Beckenhouse both commit. This could be another one to add to that list. And finally, there's my site Eagle Insider has a family that they just love, and that's the Funke family. I think just because of the last name. They're legacy members. They have a student on offensive lineman. Jack Funke is already on the roster. They have a younger sibling, Rory Funke, who's a quarterback in the class of 28. But the biggest name out of the family right now in terms of recruiting is Dominic Funke, who goes to St. Sebastian's, and I believe he's going to Xaverian Brothers this year. He's a class of 26 defensive end. Again, you're going for these local kids. This was a perfect one. This kid has been at Boston College a ton. I was at practices a lot this spring. He was there a lot. I know his family clearly respects Boston College and loves what's going on there. He was not at the barbecue, though. I want to preface this. He was not there, but I talked to the family. They had a family commitment. They just couldn't be there. They said they would have loved to have been there. I don't worry about that because I think he'll be there a bunch. He's got a ton of offers too. He's rated a pretty high 3-star recruit right now, and I think there's more teams that could be offering him. He would be the third guy I would love to see, and not just because I love to talk about the Funks, but that's just another name I think that would be great for BC. So that's going to wrap things up. This was a jam-packed episode of Locked On BC. If you like it, give us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. Like us on YouTube. If you're listening on YouTube, smash that like button to help us out. And follow us on Twitter at AJBlack247 or at Locked On BC. And we'll see you again on Monday. As we're getting closer to practice, I'm going to get ready to preview all of that here on Locked On Boston College, your team every day.